waiting, not something most of us do very well, but it is a key piece to being able to have peace in our lives and to grow in our Christian experience. Now, we're going to spend some time on a new series entitled W.A.L.K. And this is an acronym that I hope will provide you with some practical application for life. Now, I'm not going to tell you what the whole acronym is right off the bat here. You're going to have to kind of stay tuned to figure out what W.A.L.K. Stands for. But I want to take a few minutes here as I introduce this series, and I want to clear some things up. First of all, my opening statement there, to grow in our Christian experience, I really hated writing that. It doesn't seem like the right words to me, but it's probably a popular way to say things. I grew up in church, and that doesn't mean anything one way or the other. It's just so I have a lot of experience being in church, and so this word "walk," as it relates to being in church, a lot of times people go, "Well, your Christian walk or your walk with God." What is walk in that context? And we're really talking about two things. One is how you are. How are you existing? How are you living out life day by day? That's your walk. And that is in motion all the time. Life happens. You have things happen, you do things, stuff goes on. That's all part of your walk. How do you live your life? And then there's the relationship side of it, which is your relationship to God on a daily basis, on an experiential basis as you go through things. That's part of your walk with God. And so church talk, right? People talk about walking with God, and then there's folks who just, they go, well, I believe God exists. So what's this relationship thing? I believe he exists, but where are you talking relationship? Well, again, kind of goes back to how you live your life, how you're living your day to day, how you act, how you think, how you relate to others, how you relate to God. We've, just finished a series talking about tending the altar and all that stuff. But now we're talking about this practical thing. What is my walk with God? And how do I walk with God? What does that look like? And I always like the fact that God seems to give us series and things that we can talk about that are relevant to what's going on at a given time within the church body, within the country, within the world, whatever. There's God seems to know what's going on, and he provides opportunity for us to learn what's relevant at a certain time. And so this idea of walking with God and figuring out what that looks like, what is walking with God? What is it really? I hope to be able to give us some practical steps, no pun intended, okay, practical steps for how to live our daily lives, how to relate to God, how to be with God, have God be with us, have him be an influence to how I live my life and the peace that I have, the decisions that I make, and how I deal with all these things. And practically understand, how do I do that? So not just what it is, that's educational, what it is. I think we sort of kind of covered that right here. But how to do that? How do I, quote unquote, walk with God? So this acronym, W.A.L.K, W-A.L.K. W is for wait. That's something most of us don't like to do. But let's look at this. There's a verse that you're very familiar with if you've been around church at all, Isaiah 40:31. And it says, "But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint." And so let's look at that for a minute. But those who wait on the Lord. Wait has several meanings here, but those who tarry, stay in place. You know, we just last year, or maybe it was earlier this year, I don't remember, talked about the day of Pentecost and how those that waited in the upper room, the Holy Spirit came. They were tarrying. They tarried in the upper room. They were literally waiting for what God said was going to happen. If we want to walk with God, we need to wait on God. We need to, when God says go, we need to go. When he says wait, we need to wait. When he says try this over here, we need to try that over there. So when we want to talk about walking with God and we want to talk about waiting in context of God, the first thing we have to be willing to do is stay put while God does what he's trying to do. And that deals with things like patience and trust and faith. Faith that God knows what he's doing. Trust that it's all going to work out. Patience that I can contain myself in my mind that's whirling 800 miles an hour and my need to just be in motion. I'm one of those people that I'll drive farther on country roads going somewhere just so I don't have to sit in traffic on a freeway. I'd rather be moving. I don't really want to just sit. I want to, be going. But this idea of those that wait on the Lord, those that hold still and sit in expectation of what God is going to do. Yeah, that's kind of it. So, those that wait. It also is the idea of binding together. Almost like wrapping or twisting together. Those that wait on God, those that are bound to God, those that are connected to God, those people. Are you binding yourself to God? Are you connecting to God? Are you tying yourself to his ship, so to speak? Are you going with God? And then literally wait here in context, wait upon. And wait upon can be, again, back like the word tarry, but it also can be in service. In other words, you go to the restaurant and you have a waiter who does what? Waits upon you. Now, if you go to a really nice restaurant, you find out that the way wait staff works at a really nice restaurant is typically better and different than what you get at the local diner. In fact, I'll never forget, there was a restaurant in Santa Rosa area that I was at one time, and it was a French restaurant. It was very nice. And literally there was wait staff, waiters, standing, hands folded, front or back, but hands folded, several of them at the table. And they just stood there silently. And, you had a drink of water and set your glass down, and without you even being aware of it, there would be water poured back in your glass. I mean, you had nothing you had need of. They were waiting on you. Okay? They were waiting upon you. They were serving you. They were taking care of you. And so don't for a second think that when you read this word and it says, but those who wait on the Lord, that isn't an inclusive idea in that phrase, that you serve God. So it's not that you tarry, that's true, but it's not just that. It's not just that you bind yourself to God, but also that you serve God. Those that wait on the Lord shall renew shall renew their strength. They shall renew. Renew here is got a lot of different potential meanings. Slide by, pass on, spring up, pierce, change, grow up. Let's just look at some of this. Those that wait on the Lord shall slide by on strength. They'll get by. In other words, they'll get by. Slide by, not like cheating, but they'll get by. They'll be able to move past. Those that wait on the Lord shall spring up their strength. They'll get stronger. Why? Because they're waiting on the Lord. How? By tarrying. By binding themselves to God. By waiting, serving God. They'll be able to spring up their strength. Those that wait on the Lord shall pass on their strength. They'll be able to help someone else. They'll be able to help another. Those that wait on the Lord and shall pierce their strength. In other words, they won't be relying on their strength. They'll pierce the fleshly man, and they'll rely on God. Those that wait on the Lord shall change their strength. They'll be changed. And those that wait on the Lord shall grow up their strength, mature, get stronger. You know, you watch the tree that as it grows, it becomes, less apt to bend in the breeze and all those things because it becomes more stout, strong. It grows up. Those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength, which their strength here is the word vigor. Right? They'll have more energy. But it's also force. Now we get all Star Wars. May the force be with you. But those that wait on the Lord shall renew their force, their impact, their ability to affect those around them. Their impact on the world will be increased. Why? Because they waited on the Lord. And they were able to pass on that strength. They were able to spring up that strength. They were able to change that impact, that force. They were able to change and grow up and mature that impact. It's also the word capacity. Those that wait on the Lord shall spring up their capacity, their ability to hold the strength, their ability to hold more of God. Those that wait on the Lord shall have more capacity to do. It goes on and says, they shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall mount up. They shall ascend. They shall spring up. That same word, spring up. They shall raise, recover, restore. That's the 3 R's. I put them together. Raise, recover, and restore. We want to impact our world. We want to have impact and force in our world. When we mount up, we can raise up those around us. We can help them recover. We can restore them to right relationship with God. When it says mount up, it can be caused to burn. And we just last week finished talking about the Tending the Altar series, and we did some talking about fire and all those kinds of things. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, and they shall cause to burn. They shall cause people to be fueled. They shall cause sin to be consumed. They shall cause God's fire to fall and things to happen. Why? Because they're waiting on God. It says, they shall run and not be weary. They shall run. This is the idea of rush, right? To hurry, rush. They shall hurry, and then there's context within that. They shall hurry to break down. In other words, break down the barriers, break down the walls of the enemy. They shall rush to divide sin from good. They shall rush to guard, to defend, to stand in place for someone, to defend them. They should do all those things, and they won't be weary. They won't be exhausted. Or another way this is translated, they won't be working. It won't be labor, right? In other words, they shall run, and it won't be like a job. It won't be like that, because they'll be renewed. Their vigor will be increased, okay? They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Now, walk here is a very extensive word. There's a variety of meanings. And I want to stop and talk about this a little bit in more detail. They shall walk. Now, the idea of walk here, to begin with, is the idea of behave. And so, when you hear someone in church talking about your walk with God, one of the aspects of that is your behavior, right? In fact, you've heard people say, well, they don't just talk the talk, they walk the walk. What are they saying? Well, it's not just words. They don't just say, you need to be kind to one another, or be kind, or show love. They actually do. That's walk, right? Well, what is that? That's your behavior. And if somebody's, quote unquote, talking the talk and not walking the walk, you're saying, well, they don't behave like they talk. They're different. Our society has gotten very confused and very screwed up, in that we seem to honor conflict. We seem to honor rudeness. We seem to honor I'm not going to get stepped on, walked on. I'm going to stand up for what's right or whatever, even if it's rude and obnoxious and not loving or any of those other, but we seem to reverence that a little bit, versus that person's just a goody two shoes. They're a marshmallow. They're a pushover. They're just really soft, very easy. They're never going to stand for anything. And so I want to be really clear. I think we do need to stand for things. I think we've talked about that many times. But this idea of walk in the context of behavior, your behavior should be Christ-like. Now, Christ is the one that tied knots in the rope and went and cleared the money changers out of the temple, because they were not doing what was right. They were basically not only cheapening, but they were also misrepresenting the gospel and the idea of salvation. They were implying it could be bought. And Christ was going to give his life so that it was paid for you, and it couldn't be bought because he already did it. So that's not what you'd call soft. But by the same token, he talked about having love, and he turned the other cheek, and he answered not a word when they were, when he was on being questioned and all of these things, and he suffered and all of those things. But his behavior, we need to mimic the behavior of Christ. Now, mimic is a word that you look at and go, oh, I don't like that, how that sounds at all. It's like fake. And I'm not encouraging you to be fake. I want to be really clear about that. But when we walk with God, our behavior with God, we need to look and the old adage, what would Jesus do? I need to look and say, how would Christ want me to handle this? How should I handle this walk? How should I handle my behavior? What should my behavior be in this situation? Also, the idea of walk is to grow. Those that wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall grow, and it won't even be a job. We should be growing in God. That's part of our Christian walk. Remember, I said there's motion to it. We're going someplace. We're going with God. We're going to grow with God. And that's part of our walk. Are we becoming more Christ-like or not? The idea of walk here also has a concept of follow. Well, I need to be in charge. You need to learn to follow. We're supposed to be following God in our walk. We're supposed to be following God. And God puts people over us in positions of authority. You're supposed to follow your pastor. Does that mean you wander around behind him everywhere he goes? No. But when he's talking to you about what you need to do, you need to listen and try and follow those instructions so you can walk with God. That's part of the process of walking. And walk also has the idea of lead. Be careful where you walk because there's people watching you. And there's a meme that's out there on Facebook, which I really like, and it talks about a man and his son. And the son says, or the father says, son, you need to watch where you're stepping here so you don't trip up. And the son says, Dad, you need to watch where you're walking because I'm following you. So in our Christian walk, our behavior, how we do things influences what other people see. And people are watching you. You can like it, not like it. You can agree with me or disagree, but I'm just telling you, facts are, as a Christian, people are watching you. They're seeing what's real and what's not. Are you walking the walk or not? You need to be careful how you act. You need to think about and be accountable to God for your actions. That's part of walking. And sometimes it requires you to bite your tongue and not say what's on your mind until you've got it in the right attitude and you can say it the right way. You need to kind of wait on God to come impact your attitude. It says they shall walk and not faint. And this idea of faint here is, and they shall not tire. Or I like this one. It's cause to fly. You say, what? They shall walk and not cause to fly. In other words, not run someone off. Not run themselves off. Not get out of control. They shall run and not get weary. They shall walk, grow, behave, follow, lead, and not cause flightiness. They shall not faint. It's a verse we've seen many, many, many times. So we want to walk with God. The first thing we need to do is wait on God. Serve. Wait with expectation. Bind ourselves together with God. In other words, take God and make him part of your life. I could have said W is for with. I'm going with God. I want God with me. I could have said that, but it's wait. Wait on God. Wait to see what he's got going. Wait with faith. Wait expectantly. Wait at the altar. It's not a bad word. Serve. Be with God. Well, how do I do that practically? Well, here's the answer. You just talk to God. Just like you talk to anybody else. Say, God, I'm waiting on you. God, I want to hear what you want me to do. God, I'm going to wait until you say go. I'm going to wait until you say move. God, I want to bind my actions to you. I want to act appropriately, not because I'm being fake, but because I want to be looking to you to direct how I need to act in each situation. That's my behavior. That's my walk. God, I want to put you first in my thinking. I want to think about what would God have me do? What should I do in order to get closer to God? What should I do in order to impact other people with my walk, how I behave, how I act out my life, how I live, right? If you're acting one way in public and another way at home, that really is acting. It's not walking. But is God first in public and is God first at home? God should be first in all aspects of my life. If he's first in all aspects of my life, if I'm waiting upon God, then my behavior is going to come in line with what God's word says. I can know what God wants me to do in many different ways. And for new Christians in particular, sometimes they struggle with, well, I don't hear from God. I don't know. Start with this. Start with his word. Read his word every day and wait for him to begin to reveal his character to you through his word. There's many different studies you can do in the Bible, many different ways you can do it. You know, some people just do the, okay, well, I'll just stick my finger right there, But you can take a practical approach as you go through the word. And, as we're looking at the series on walk, if you really want to start having God impact your behaviors, go to the book of Proverbs and read one chapter every day for the day of the month. So on the first, read chapter 1. On the 7th, read chapter 7, etc. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way through. And read Proverbs through, say, over the next 3 months. Read Proverbs 1 chapter a day over the next 3 months and wait on God. Ask him, say, God, show me. Let me see what you want me to do. Because Proverbs talks a lot about godly character, which would be what? The answer to how to behave in each situation, how to think about life, how to adjust things and do what is God's wisdom. And if I do that, that's going to impact how I grow. It's going to impact how I act. That's going to affect my behavior and all of those things. And if that happens, then that's going to be part of my mounting up with wings like eagles. And then I'm going to be able to run and not be weary and walk and not faint. So our key verse again. But those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. So that's the first part of our series on walk, is wait. Now, I'll give you a little key. I'm not doing this in 4 lessons, W.A.L.K. We're going to look at waiting. So you'll have to wait to find out what the A stands for, because there's more. There's more about waiting that we're going to talk about next week. So I know you're excited to hear about the next letter, or at least I hope you are, but I want you to wait a little longer and see what God can do. And you begin to ask God, God, I want to wait on you. Show me, touch me, let me see the plan that you have, and let it begin to affect your thinking on everything. Putting God first, waiting on God, and seeing what he's going to do. And let's get this Christian walk down together. And that's it for this week.